Let's first talk what the last month or so has been like for you since the files were supposed to have been released. What has this time been like?
I'm losing faith in our justice system because I thought when the president signed the bill, whether he wanted to or not, that we were going to get answers. And when the files were going to be released at some point. But just seeing what's being released, I just feel like it's a joke. I mean, we're just getting these silly pictures, birthday books, and who Epstein hung around with. It doesn't tell a real story. It doesn't take all the audios, the videos, and the emails and put it all together and paint a real picture of what's going on.
Part of the reasoning that they've given in these letters over and over again is that they're consulting with victims and their attorneys as they do these redactions. Have you been contacted by the DOJ?
I mean, that may be true that they're consulting with them to fill in the dots and draw a larger narrative, but that's not why you redact. That's not why you do that. That's not an excuse,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, why are you saying that? It's like people know that's not the truth. Is the reason why you're not putting the whole files out there is because you're worried about the victims. No, they've never been worried about the victims. You're worried about the politicians and the powerful people that are on there. And we get why, it might be embarrassing for them, that they were involved in some of this stuff, or it might be incriminating for them. Epstein had in his homes video cameras everywhere. They actually have, unless they burned it all down, which is possible too. They have video of every person who stepped into that house, every person that stepped into a room with a minor or a young woman. They can see what happened before, what happened after. They can see who was all there. I mean, they have all the information out there, everything to expose, just everything. So there's a reason why they're not getting everything out there. I mean, our president probably has something to do with it. I'm not saying he does or he doesn't. I'm not saying that past presidents have or haven't. We don't really know, but we do know that they are involved somehow, whether it's initially involved with minors or young women and a sex trafficking ring, or whether they're just involved in protecting those people.
You had asked the judge in Ghislaine Maxwell's case to get involved in this to try to get someone to oversee this. Were you expecting him to come down and say that he can't get involved at all?
It was disappointing. It was really disappointing because I thought that would be the best thing to do is to appoint somebody who take over the files and is unbiased, not creating sides, making it nonpartisan. It's not Democrat, it's not Republican, but just someone to look at the files and dissect them and go through them and connect the dots properly. And I keep saying connect the dots because Epstein had his tentacles in all different areas, academia and tech and institutions and universities and modeling agencies and like everything. And so there's a lot of an umbrella of things to work through.
What kind of conversations are survivors having right now about the reality of this situation?
I think the survivors in general are pretty disappointed. When we got into this fight in September, we all kind of have different agendas. Justice for us doesn't mean that we're going to put all these men behind bars. We know they're very powerful.
You were saying that Epstein would put, models with people that could help you in your modeling career. If you wanted to work in certain industries, like he knew people and he knew how to pair you. It wasn't so random.
Nothing was random with Jeffrey Epstein. And he worked with so many different powerful people, the ones that shared his desire, so to speak, for 14 to 24-year-olds. So Jeffrey Epstein was a brilliant mastermind. He was a genius. I don't care what anybody says to say, oh, he wasn't smart, he dropped out of college. No, this man was so brilliant. He can get anybody to do whatever he wanted to do because he worked on, to finally answer your question, he worked on what you wanted. So let's say I wanted to be a model and actress. For me, that's what he worked on. I had friends that wanted to be artists and they were painters. That's what he worked on with them. Other friends who wanted to be a TV host, and he worked on that. Other ones that wanted to, being architect, he knew architects, tech, he knew them. He wanted to get a degree, he knew that. So whatever it was that you wanted, he manipulated you to get what he wanted, which was these creepy massages. And then he would say and hold it over your head, that, I'm going to get you into this school, or I'm going to help you with this. And then all of a sudden you're with a model agency, you're going to be with them for 10 years. You're with a school, you're going to be with that university for 4 years. He locks you in.
You said a few months ago, last fall, that the survivors might put together a list if the government
Mhm.
doesn't do anything. Are you any closer to making that a reality?
Well, I have been making that a reality. I mean, I did call out a couple names of which people have resigned. So my announcement in January about the universities was really my work and many others. It wasn't just me. My team work of speaking out in September, survivors coming forward and realizing, that a lot of us were sent to universities on a scholarship from Epstein. So that was like part of the list. And that was a big deal that came out early January, but it was blanketed by, a lot of the ICE things that were happening and other stuff. I believe the ICE, the horrible stuff going on with ICE is just to steer people away from what's really going on with these files.
It sounds in certain pieces like they really already have a lot of the information that they need. I was reading Ghislaine Maxwell's corpus petition, and she references, like, in quotes, four potential co-conspirators and 25 men. And there's a specific line that says the government could have indicted four named co-conspirators or any of the 25 men that settled secretly with the plaintiff's lawyers, but they did not. What's your reaction to knowing that that is in black and white in her petition?
Two things. I like that she could possibly reveal some names. Maybe she's being pressured to reveal. I know she doesn't want to. She's being pressured to, so maybe she gets a lesser sentence. We do want those names revealed. We do want those names out there. We want to know more of what's going on, and she knows more than anybody. So that would be great. But the second thing is that we don't want her releasing names so she's let out of prison for it. First of all, I don't think she'd be safe getting out of prison for it. But secondly, we don't care. We want her in prison because she did abuse young girls.
Is there anything that Pam Bondi could say that could make you feel more comfortable with the fact that she's saying that these files are going to come out eventually?
She hasn't kept her word, her own statements, saying she will release all documents. This is a nonpartisan issue. It's very clear. It's black and white. The DOJ not following the law is quite stunning to me. It's really shocking. You're supposed to follow the law. And the current release of the files has been embarrassing. 1%. It's pretty easy. Redact victim identification. Don't redact those that cause harm or that those people were happily pictured alongside Epstein. Why redact those faces? Pam Bondi is in violation of the law.
Do you feel like Congress is still paying attention to this? I mean, obviously there's the oversight committee, but you had somebody like Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's not there anymore. You have Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Doesn't seem like there's like an appetite from her anymore to push this forward.
No, they're scared. Of course, they're scared. When we were there at Congress, we sat there. The Women's Democratic Caucus, they were fantastic. They sat with us, cried with us, invited us in. We had lunch with them. The Republican Women's Caucus, they were like, "We've got you. We're here for you." And then when we actually had that vigil, with the candles and the ceremony, when we were all excited, and they didn't show up. Where were they? So you can tell me they wanted to show up. They wanted to be there. They're scared.
Do you think if there's a Democrat in the White House in 3 years, 4 years, that you would have more confidence?
No. I know most people will say yes, but I don't believe that's true. I think they would be exactly the same.